Is your little one nearly 4 and you're considering what school to send them to? Are you wondering how do you know what's even a good school? I'm going to explain all that. My daughter got accepted into her first choice school and I'm super excited, and I wanted to share everything I've learned and what things I think you should consider when choosing a school. The first thing to consider is your budget. What is your budget for a school? If you think you can afford private schooling, then obviously that's a different budget and that's a different category. If you want to do homeschooling, that's also something else as well. So consider your budget and see what can you afford. The next thing to consider is the location. Are you happy to commute? Maybe 20 minutes drive to a school, or do you want to just be walking? Like for instance, if you're not driving and just want to walk to school, that's going to obviously make a big difference. So consider the location of the school that you would consider. The next point is the faith-based schools or others. So are you happy to take your child to a faith-based school? So faith-based schools, from what I've heard from other moms and dads, that most of the time these are the better standard schools. So in my area at least, that's what I've been told, and so I did prefer a faith-based school. But also you have to consider if that's the kind of thing you'd be happy with. So for instance, my cousins go to a faith-based school and I know they don't celebrate Halloween in that school. So when it's Halloween, then they celebrate All Saints Day, I think, or All Souls Day, or things like that. So you want to consider if this is something that you'll be happy with. Also, they also teach certain aspects of the religion. So there's going to be teaching about Christianity and stuff like that. So consider if you'll be happy with this kind of thing for your child. The next thing to consider is the OFSTED rating. So the OFSTED stands for the Office for Standards in Education, Children's Services and Skills. So it's a part of the government that actually rates schools. So they go there and they visit schools and then they check out things like what is it like to be a pupil in this school. They consider things like what would be good, what that school is doing well and what could be done better. And they usually give a rating. So they have 4 ratings. So one of them is inadequate. So if it's inadequate, then obviously it's not good. The next is requires improvement, meaning there's areas they need to improve in. And then the next is good, so it's a good school. And then finally the last is outstanding. So obviously outstanding would be the best OFSTED rating and inadequate is the worst. So you're going to be looking at OFSTED ratings of the schools to compare and see which one you think is better. Another thing I found helpful was to check the school performance timetables. So I'll link them all down below. But what I found was that really good is that it can really break down. So it breaks down how the school is performing in terms of like all subjects. They have how they're doing in maths, in English, in science. They show you the types of pupils that are there. So for instance, they'll show you the percentage of pupils that have maybe English as their second language, which to me personally, I took that as a mark for diversity. I imagine that people whose first language is not English are likely to be maybe from a diverse background. So I'll link it below so you can go and have a look. But I found that the school performance tables were really good. You're also able to create a list of your own. You can create a list and say maybe you want to compare 3 schools, and then it can show you like of these 3 schools which one is better in this or that other aspect. The next thing is to consider asking real moms and dads, because first of all, some of these ratings are really old. So things like OFSTED ratings for some of the schools, when I was searching, they were like 10 years old or 5 years old or even maybe even longer. So consider talking to actual people who go to these schools. You can find these in your own social circles. You can find them at church, at work. Just be asking people what schools are good in this area, or what do you think about this school? What do you think about that other school? Because there are certain schools where I was told, you know what, that school has a bad reputation, and you wouldn't know by checking the OFSTED rating. Because like for me, all the schools in my area are rated as either good or outstanding. So that then can tell you if this one has a bad reputation or not. The next thing is to visit the school in person. So in September, when the school application process starts, then usually they're going to have school tours, and I went for this and I really enjoyed it, because then they take you around, they show you everything, you get a feel of the school. And then if you've missed these, because sometimes, especially if you're applying in the middle of the year, or if for some reason you've missed them, you can just call and ask you want to visit the school. They're always happy to arrange a tour for you. Usually it's with a head teacher of the school. So I did that for one of the schools where I was late for the like group tour, and I went by myself. And ideally be going when students are actually there, when they're in class and learning, and then you have a feel of the school. The next thing is to consider the type of child that you have and what you think will be best for them. So for instance, one of the schools that I went to, their policy is that the child does the work, or maybe the day's assignment when they feel like it. There's no pressure. Although it was compulsory that by the end of the day you have to make sure you've done the work, but you don't have to do it like with everyone, just whenever you feel like. And the other school I went to, everyone does everything at the same time. So one of them is more structured, and certain children might not do well with that. And then also the other one is like more free. So tell me in the comments below, what kind of parent are you? Which sounds better to you? Do you want like a more free-flowing system where it's like it's up to you, you can like do the work whenever you feel like, or do you want a more structured approach where you do the work when you're told to do the work. I'll comment as well which option I chose and then I'm looking forward to hearing your options as well. So that's it, guys. If you want to know what the actual school application process is, then watch this video here where I explain all that.